Welcome to Jazz Guitar Lessons, where we help guitarists learn jazz faster, express themselves more fluently, and have fun along the way. My name is Mark, and if you're looking to learn jazz, form better practice habits, and especially if you enjoy a French accent, make sure to subscribe. Hey guys, it's Mark from Jazz Guitar Lessons. Welcome to my neighborhood. This is a little walk with the birds, and maybe we're going to have some rain. And there's three main obstacles I wanted to talk about as I work with you guys to try to expand your jazz guitar skills and think of ways that are, beyond learning a bunch of scales and learning a bunch of tunes and being told you can't play until you transcribe 10 Wes Montgomery solos. I want to expose three main things. One will relate to the scales and the improv side of things. The other one will relate to how to organize our time for efficiency and enjoyment, actually. And the third one relates to getting feedback and using an expert to perhaps get better much faster. So off we go. First topic. There is I think a misperception, a paradigm where lots of people that I work with will believe that, say, doing a certain thing is the roadmap towards achieving something else. Let me clarify. Assume you want to work on all the things you are, and you say, well, I know the chords and I've learned the melody, and now the first part is in A flat, right? And it does mean that I have to learn all my keys, A flat, all over the fretboard. So I will typically have the talk and go like, okay, wait, let me get this clear. We have a progression of chords to all the things you are, namely, top of mind, F minor 7, B flat minor 7, E flat 7, A flat major 7, D flat major 7, D minor 7, G7, C major. First 8 bars. You want to improvise through this, and you're telling me that doing that, which I don't have a video of because I'm not in the studio, you're telling me that doing a scale here and a scale here and a scale here will magically promote your ability to be able to make confident, clear improvisation lines. And that's when I ask and propose, like, well, do you see that perhaps practicing the scales is tangentially related to getting that results? But to get the results of improvising, it's not like magically you learn a bunch of scales and then you're confronted with a group, a band, or a backing track, and then boom, you can improvise. That's not true. So why don't we think of different methods or paradigms for making melodic statements? I'll give you a few ones. How about digging into the melody of the song, just like randomly? Why don't we dig in the melody and start to ornament around the melody? I know, cheesy, easy, but yeah, play the tune. How about maybe starting to memorize the chord changes like I've just done? Yeah, it's F minor 7, B flat minor 7. People know it's an A flat, okay. But how about like memorizing those chords? Wouldn't that be a better use of your time than just learning a bunch of scales positions, right? How about looking at the chord tones? So the third and the fifth and the seventh, how about we look at those and try to anchor those within our improv rather than going after all these materials? So that's a way for me to, like, there's this wall, and it's a way for me to dissolve the wall or the made-up belief, the made-up roadblock that it's because I don't know my scales that I can't improvise, right? And that's just one example. That's a mental mindset reframe. And what I think this wall, or this fictional created wall, proposes as an obstacle, it reinforces maybe a false belief that I can't do it, or I'm not good enough yet, or I can't really do it because, the masters have told me this, and because I haven't really done all these steps, it means I can't do it, right? It reinforces that. And plus, I think it does give what we could call an excuse for not actually do it. So that's dissolving a roadblock. There you have it. Whenever I come across students that have a means to an end. Now we just talked about scale positions. I will tell them, yes, but what is the thing that you're trying to do? And if you're saying, well, I want to improvise, I'll typically say, well, let's just do that. Let's do that then. But I want to learn my scale. You want to learn your scale in order to improvise. So let's just jump on the thing. Typically we'll be playing songs as well. People don't believe they can sit in and play entire songs. They will make these excuses that they want to learn all the drop tune versions before they play the tunes. I'm like, well, drop tune versions are fine, but can you actually just get to do the thing that you want to do? And this boils up a lot of resistance and talks and arguments and saying, no, Barry Harris said that, so we have to. It's like, yeah, it's the truth. Maybe it's just a part of the truth. So that's the first main obstacle. Yeah, I wonder what the people in the neighborhood think. The guy walking with his phone and blue shirt. It's not a blue shirt, but it's the other shirt. Good. Now, I may climb up the hill and get a bit winded. So you have to forgive me. The second thing I want to tell you, it's quicker, much shorter, is using an excuse that there's too much to practice in order to convince myself that that's the reason why I'm not good enough or I haven't really taken the steps. It reminds me of a student I worked with about 15 years ago that said, "Mark, you've given me too much." And that's a classic story. I keep bringing it up because I made and decided upon a practice plan for him. And the practice plan was percentage. So it was like 3 or 4 things to practice by percentage, going like, hey, dude, if you have 30 minutes, just split your practice time in these percentage, 50%, 20%, 30%, whatever. If you have 100 minutes, even easier, right? And we would meet 2 weeks after, and that student, who shall remain nameless, said, "You've given me too much." I say, how can 100% of your practice time be too much to practice? So often that's like a false belief or an excuse to go, there's so much, and that's a reason I can't do anything. But again, how do we eat an elephant? Take the first bite. How do you climb the mountain? Thank you, bird. You take the first step, and that's it. So how can we define that the first step is too much for me? It's not. It's never. Work on the thing that's right in front of you and do the thing. But I'll tell you wow, that bird was loud. I don't know if you're picking it up. Probably a cardinal or something. So the student in question, I think the false belief was that is before, regardless of the percentage, before I get to see the master, my teacher after, it means I have to have done everything he's given me perfectly. And that's why I go, no, just get started on this plan, right? If you take karate, jiu-jitsu lessons, you will go, and regardless of how much you've improved, you will still show up to the studio the next time. If you take yoga classes, you will do the same thing. Just show up, do your hygiene. So often that's a misperception to go like, well, there's a certain amount of things to do, and I have to churn through all this work and accomplish it and check. And it doesn't quite work like that. So the false belief is to having achieved something, but we have to think of the skills in gradients. It's not like, oh, you've done your skills, you're one and done, it's finished forever. That's just not going to work, right? So it's an idea to keep the ball rolling. And that will segue into my third topic. Keep the ball rolling with these materials and just go and see the input or go to the next lesson regardless, because you don't have to have everything finished and perfect before you get input or before you get feedback. And the point is just to show up, to take the first step or the second or the third or the fourth, and to keep using this as to not still fuel that false belief, that sort of mindset going like, I can't do it, and now I have the perfect excuses because there's so much and I haven't done it all, and therefore it explains why I still suck or I can't do the thing. Well, let's not have that discourage you, right? You can show up to your practice plan with, a good mood, a good mindset, with knowledge of the specific materials. Use a timer, again, kitchen timer, just to be very cognizant of the kind of time you apply, and have this idea that you're going towards a certain set of skills and not going, this is a workload. Again, like I have my job and I have to churn through all these files. I have these customers to serve or whatever it is, or I have these holes to dig, or I'm looking at a car, like these tires to change. Yes, but at the same time, this is not exactly how the craft of learning guitar and jazz guitar works. Love this with a tree. That's awesome. Okay, so third topic. Interestingly, a student really close to me hesitated in sending in a video. And that's another big obstacle. Remember the first one, the obstacle is the made up, I have to work on all these skills. The second obstacle is, oh, there's too much, right? And therefore it explains why. And the third one is, I don't want to play for you that thing, Mark. I heard that several times. That's why I'm making this video too. I'm going to start to get winded, by the way. And here's the take. My student said, if I film my video of autumn leaves or whatever it was, the exercise, I already know what you're going to tell me. Is that so? You have a crystal ball, so you know what I'm going to tell you. I'm an expert. And of course, you're paying me to look at your stuff and to give you lessons and to give you a plan and to give you feedback on your videos. And I've, spent the past 15 years being really passionate about helping thousands of people do that. And now you're filming Autumn Leaves. You're watching it on your phone and saying, I don't want to send this to Mark because I, the student, already know what he's going to propose. Cool. Where are you gathering that information from? And what is that? Like, what is that thing I'm going to say? And the answer was simple. You're going to tell me to play it faster. You're going to tell me to play it better. And here's another facepalm moment. The same as, no, you don't have to learn your 12 scales, 12 positions before you improvise. The same thing as, no, it's not because there is too much of practice that you're not making progress, you're not focused. And thirdly, no, it's not true that this is the feedback. That's what people see when they're practicing and trying to learn something, and they assume that they already, winded. They assume they already know what the next steps are. But again, it's like, well, you haven't really traveled this road, so how could you know? And that's another facepalm, because it's what's right in front of you, which is, oh, it's not as good as I thought it would be, and it's not as fast as I thought it would be, so therefore these two things are in my way, and it's a made-up obstacle. Again, this is the video about the obstacles. And I say, well, you don't know what you don't know, right? You don't know the things that you cannot see and cannot hear. And hopefully through the feedback, my job, our job, in the Accelerator program, link in description, is of course to have you hear these things that you don't quite hear yet. So it's more about a change of perspective on what you're doing rather than telling you if it's good or bad. And by giving feedback to, I think I looked at the school community, we have like 2,200 videos for which I've given feedback on. How many times do you think I heard Autumn Leaves played wrong? How many times do you think I wrote Jimmy Bruno style, played better, played faster? Never. I've never done that. So we can point out, hey, this is what you were trying to achieve. This was the goal of your video. Reality check. Let's just look at this. You've done this well, that well, that well. This is the thing that you should work on. There are a couple of things you could work on that would have the most high impact on your playing. So there's a schoolyard. My son's going to go to that school next year. So you may hear the screams and the kids, etc. Oh yes, they're really going at it. Probably like a soccer game or something. Kids. So we'll look at the goal of your video, to do a full sweep 360 reality check, and then we'll go, that thing or these two things are really the things that could have the most impact on your playing if you worked on them. So by when do you think you can fix these things and submit another video? Or, the feedback may simply be pointing out, good. Look at this. You're 80% plus, move on, check mark, move to the next exercise, right? But this is completely custom. Oh, I just felt a raindrop. I hope this doesn't ruin the video and the camera. But the thing is, there's always feedback, there's always knowledge to be gathered, especially if you grab a teacher, a specialist, or a friend that has better ears than you. And it's not true. That's the only feedback you're going to get. And if he's watching, Scott, that's for you. He's going, no, of course not. Of course there's way more enlarged possibilities to see what you could be told. So crossing the street, jaywalking. My own neighborhood, crazy. So yeah, this is a suburb of Ottawa for anyone interested. By the way, it's called Gatineau. Beautiful area. I live in the Hull area near the mountains and the national park. Beautiful. Lots of one-story houses. Not condos. What's the word? Bungalows. Lots of bungalows. Lots of retired and semi-retired people. Amazing. Like most of the clients I work with on the website, actually. So yeah, there's always custom, very compassionate, logical and sensical and really useful feedback to be given. And now we're just starting to get some raindrops. So I'm going to end the video. I think it's perfect cue. This is my cue from nature to go, Mark, you got to shut up and get back in the studio and teach and film actual YouTube videos where you actually use a studio setting. So enjoy. I hope this makes sense. And please keep me posted if you have any questions in the comments. Of course, browse to jazzguitarlessons.net for The ebook is called The Pinnacle Method. It's an ebook. If you sign up, I'll also send you a free course, which is 4 videos on that method, and not just necessarily, more scales and chords and more tunes to learn, but the framework in which you can apply regardless where you pick your musical materials for. So looking forward to seeing you in there. Take care. Bye.